Happy holidays, everyone. This is the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. I'm Two James. I'm here with the crew. Jamal, what's going on,
Yep.
my man?
Meh, nothing much.
And I got Mr. Silly Sellers. What's up, man?
Happy holidays, everybody.
And Dr. M and Dwayne probably is gonna jump in a little bit of technical difficulties, but we say we're gonna get started. So tonight's episode is our end of the year 2017 Goldie's Awards, which if you haven't been following us or new to the show, this is just our way of going down all the superlatives for 2017 in the eve of wrestling. So we got a bunch of different categories. I think to be exact, we got 5, 10, about 15 categories. Pretty much split up in individual, match, event, and miscellaneous. So if you're listening to the show, tweet us, let us know what you think, and how you feel about the answers, and and interact with us. But yeah, we're gonna get started. We're gonna jump around because sort of I'm looking at the chart at the same time. So if you see my eyes shifting around, I pretty much got the strong ones up top, which of course I'm not gonna read in that order. We'll get to the good stuff at the end. But we'll jump around to a little bit of the fun and maybe we're a little controversial as well too. So, but yeah. So
first tag team of the year.
No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. All things positive here. Otherwise, you won't be getting anything for Christmas, you know. So anyway, first category I'm gonna start off with is going to be how do we vote for our best finisher execution of the year? Silly Sellers.
So going to my answer, you know what? This one was hard for me to choose. I chose the AJ Styles Clash just for I will continuously see how impressive that move is to execute, where you have to make sure not only you do it correctly where it makes an impact, but you have to do it safely. And the way that AJ Styles can do that as not a biggest person in the world, maybe he's about 5'7", 5'8", and can do that with people like Roman Reigns, or can do that with people like, of his size. I think that's just always very, very impressive. So just how he always executes it cleanly. I'll just always give him consistent measures for that. So that's why I picked his as the best finisher of the year.
Jamal?
I actually thought the best finisher, and when we say execution, we don't just mean who has the coolest move. It's who can pull it off consistently. The RKO, the ace cutter, the diamond cutter, whatever you want to call it. But the fact that it can come from out of nowhere is, pretty clean, pretty slick. So I said Keith Lee and the Spirit Bomb, basically a high-arcing power bomb, a sit-out power bomb, is damned impressive because whoever he hits it on, it just looks like so much force. The ring just kind of caves in almost when he hits it. And this is Angelus Lane back in August at Nova Pro. He scrambled her eggs with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I like the finisher too. I mean, it's very similar to Kota Ibushi's finisher, but I mean, you're looking at Keith Lee's size and momentum, and you start factoring gravity and him capturing all the power from all the people watching currently and all over the world. I mean, it's exactly what it is. I mean, lend you his energy. He asks you to lend him his energy. And I mean, it's a crazy move. And that the fact too, you say you hit it on Andrews Lane, hit it to Donovan Dijak has seen that move a lot of times this year. But yeah, totally agree. Dr. M just joined. We're going over our best finisher execution of the year. Me and you have the same answer, so I'll let you speak.
Okay, well, I apologize for being late.
Oh, you good, buddy.
But I chose the lumbar check. And I think I chose that one in part because not only is it pretty cool looking, but also how people sell the move, I think, is what won me over. Like some of the lumbar checks he's done in recent weeks, Drew Gulak, like the way they sell it, I think, is what makes the move look more effective than perhaps it is, and so that's why I went with that one.
Yeah, it's freaking nuts. Is my answers, like I said as well too. And it's starting to be executed a little bit more like randomly now too. Like yeah, the way he did it on Tony Nese, what, 2 weeks ago, was like he threw him to the rope and then kind of like turned him around and did it was pretty much nuts. But yeah, it was a no-brainer, and you're absolutely right. The way the people are selling it too, like it's legit. And the name I like as well, as far as what the move is and what it's reference to, the lumbar check. It's all the way around perfect. So, next category we got spot of the year. I'll start with you, Dr. M.
Spot of the year. I'm trying to remember what I chose.
I got you, Bianca.
Oh yes. So my spot of the year is from the Mae Young Classic, the final match, or it might have been second round. Bianca Belair against Kairi Sane, and as we know, Bianca Belair has that ridiculously huge braid. And in that particular match, it wasn't just one sort of whip of the braid like she usually does, but she spent almost 30 seconds totally brutalizing Kairi Sane with that braid. And I mean, it sounded like somebody was actually getting whipped with a belt. the way just the sound was coming across on the network. and I just thought it was a great spot. The crowd was totally into it. Kairi Sane was selling it well. That was my standout spot.
She had no choice too, because she had those whelps on the back of her afterwards. Yeah, you're right about that. It was like sonic booms going on. I literally was like looking around when I was hearing it, because I was like, Jesus Christ, it was crazy. Mine actually. So at first, I had originally had the Young Bucks, who executed the Meltzer driver on Rocky Romero on the G1 special, and this was like this when they executed it this time, this was actually dedicated to Meltzer because of the tragedy in his family. So because of how it was executed with I forget which one it was, but one of them jumped on the top rope, but then they executed outside. Just because of the meaning and because of how it was done, I thought it was pretty cool. And then about 3 days ago, I remember absolutely my spot of the year, because forever to this day, and especially the fact that I heard the Singh brothers may be recent soon getting released, which I don't happen. I would never forget the moment in Backlash when Randy Orton threw one of the Singh brothers over the table, and Randy Orton looked like, "Holy crap, did I do that?" I was like, "Yeah, that's definitely my moment." Like, like he tossed him, and quite frankly, the Singh brothers have been taking some crazy bumps throughout this whole year. So that's my spot of the year. 6 hours.
A lot of these that you're going to see become very personal to me. And mine was Braun and Big Show breaking the ring, which I thought the match was actually very good. And this is the first time my wife has ever seen anything of that nature by a spot where the ring breaks. And we've seen it a couple of times, but every time you see it, which doesn't happen often, it's like a blue moon effect. It's very impactful and exciting to see. And I knew it was coming. I had a feeling it was coming, and I had her pay attention to it. And just her reaction of it was like, oh my God, like they really did that. And I enjoyed the match by, with the spot in it as well. So it just became very personal to me that it was memorable. It was fun. And once again, just surprised how good the match was. So that's my spot of the year.
Finishing off with you, Jamal.
The Ugly Ducklings, they do a monkey flip into the corner. With an opponent, it's with themselves, and they monkey flip, one or the other into the corner senton, and it's insane. How they do that every single time. It's kind of like a cannonball, but it's off of a monkey flip, and it's like that just looks nasty sometimes when they hit it.
And how do you practice that too? Yeah, that's definitely dope.
Yeah, that just shows how good of a tag team they are, where they just have that trust and that wherewithal with each other.
That's right. This next category is the You Still Got It Award, which is basically for wrestlers still performing at a high pace, 40 and over. Starting off with you, Jamal.
I know What did I pick? Oh, okay, here it is. Well, I picked an ROH champion for the first time, and I picked Christopher Daniels. He's 47. Now, I could have picked Cena, probably wouldn't have. Could have picked AJ Styles, who is 40. Shane McMahon is like 48 or something like that. But Juice and Thunder Liger's 50 plus. But Christopher Daniels, from the year that he's had, definitely deserves it. I didn't realize he was that old, to put it frankly. But yeah, he definitely had a hell of a year. Arguably, his best year at Ring of Honor. Winning the championship and the run that he had with Frankie Kazarian. So, hats off to for Christopher Daniels.
Awesome. Dot them.
I will say that I actually thought a long time about picking Christopher Daniels myself, because basically for all the reasons Jamal said, and even just last week or the week before, I was watching ROH on TV, and he and Kazarian were in a match against I forget what the other tag team was, but he was taking some pretty intense bumps, and I think Jamal's right, or a guy that age, that he's still able to perform at that capacity and still athletic, still flips around the ring. I ultimately went with Kurt Angle, in part because he has gotten back in the ring a little bit, but I think it's a combination of him getting back in the ring, and I also think he's been doing a pretty good job just on an on-air TV role as general manager. I like his interactions with people on Raw. So, a combination of him sort of on the mic in his general manager role and plus in the ring. That's why I chose him.
I like to say too, for Kurt Angle, definitely is healthy enough to be in the ring, considering his history of injuries and medication. The fact that WWE cleared him says a lot too, and not even just that. Before he got back to WWE, he was definitely doing appearances on the indie scenes too, which he could just. I'm sorry, when I'm saying I'm not saying just appearances like just showing up, but actually wrestling matches. I'm on the indies as well as this year as well too. So for somebody with a serious neck injury he had, which ultimately ends a lot of people's career, it is definitely phenomenal to see that he's still doing it. Siri Salas.
Mine's definitely Shane McMahon. Just for the year he's had and all the matches he's been in, I've just been very impressed because he just gets it. For a guy that, even though his family has a wrestling background as far as the business, he's never been a pure wrestler. But just especially going back to WrestleMania this year against AJ Styles, I think that was almost low-key the match of the night. And the fact that he would take a spot going from the top of the cage and doing that elbow drop, whether he connects with somebody or does not, he's willing to do that. And at his age in the 40s, he's definitely strong and always can bounce back and looks like he's never been hurt. And that's why I give it to Shane.
Yeah, that match with AJ Styles, no one gave it a chance, and they absolutely will rank among best matches of that card for WrestleMania. So definitely props for that. My person is Chris Jericho, who is 47. Chris Jericho has had an amazing year, becoming finally a Triple Crown winner, winning the U.S. Championship.
Yep.
A very significant feud with Kevin Owens, and not only just this feud with Kevin Owens, but actually becoming the most interesting thing on TV for the first 6 or 7 months in wrestling, with the gimmick with "You Made the List," and still wrestling a full-time schedule. He dropped the CD this year, went on tour. People wrote him off a zillion times saying he was going to take time off, and he still wrestled a legitimate for this year 7 months. And even though we're talking about 2007, not to mention if he worked 7 months, he did a few house shows too. He took a little break. Went on tour some more, and he will be one of your headlining matches at Wrestle Kingdom come January against Kenny Omega. So he played his chips right. He's held his business down, stayed in shape, stayed active for 47. Chris Jericho, the GOAT. Swerve of the year. So Swerve of the year is exactly what you think it is. It is something that possibly didn't go the way you thought it was going to go, or actually just end up being a complete joke in all. and I'll start off by saying the UK Championship show that this never was. Now, with the success of the CWC, came to UK tournament, came to Mae Young Classic, all these great tournaments that had a lot of momentum. And I mean, they brought all the pieces together. All the news came out about it being a live television show that was going to be held. All that talent in the UK championship roster. And then it just kind of rumored, and then this kind of phased away, and now it's really nothing. Now those guys kind of introduced on 205 Live, the 205 Live that they sent out emails about saying, hey, what do you guys think about the show? Because they even know it's not good. So UK Championship show, the show that just never happened. Jamal.
I went with Talking Smack being canceled. Now, I personally didn't watch it because why would I? But as I understand it, it was one of the better outlets to advance storylines outside of the program. Now, whether or not people watched it, whether or not WWE's numbers say that it didn't get enough ratings on the network is notwithstanding. I don't have those numbers. But what I do know is some of the best promos, some of the best, interviews, the most memorable ones from the year came from Talking Smack. Yep. Not Raw Talk, not Sunday Night Heat or whatever they had, else they had. It was from from Talking Smack.
I agree. Poor Renee Young, because it just was her. Really, it was as much as it was about the wrestlers and they having a platform to develop their character. It was Renee Young's go-to thing, and I mean, she found out on the internet, which is really messed up. And for shows that really should have been canceled, that shouldn't have been one. Dr. M.
So my swerve of the year, and this probably isn't a legitimate swerve of the year, but I've just been grouchy about this for a while. But Nia Jax, I'm a big fan of Nia Jax, and I just knew by this point in 2017 she would have women's title at least once. I mean, it has cycled through Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte a bunch of times. Alexa even got it. I just knew that Nia Jax would get it. And for us to now be at the end of 2017 and she's in some stupid storyline with Enzo, totally makes no sense, especially because she's been more outspoken this year about sort of celebrating her body image and being proud of the body she's in. And I feel like WWE has missed an amazing opportunity to sort of capitalize on that. And instead, they have her in this comedy storyline with Enzo that I can't imagine that's going to go anywhere productive. And so that's my swerve of the year.
You almost think that she's in trouble the way they fed her to Enzo.
Yep. Well, remember, she did take that leave of absence. Nothing, suddenly she was gone and nothing really came of that. And then the next thing you know, she's out of the title picture and she's doing a bit with Enzo and Drew Gulak. So
that's true.
Is she in trouble? I mean, I'm not going to say that one thing led to another.
But Enzo has the title, right?
On the decline since she came back from her non-injury related sabbatical.
Yeah, whatever it was, if she was trouble or not, she did emphasize a lot that she wasn't happy. And I can assure you that if she wasn't happy then, she's damn sure not happy now. I mean, whatever it is. But hopefully the mismatch challenge is something that does bring, and the Royal Rumble too, which we'll talk about hopefully at the end of the show if we get some time. It's two key things where she's able to really capture that moment that she had earlier in the year. Let's go with Silly Salas.
So mine's, I think me and D-Wayne, and welcome D-Wayne. Me and him had the same thing. And for mine's, I always say to WWE, or we always talk about the WWE on this show or in personal life, that WWE has opportunities to do something but never does it. And one of those key things is turning a legit face and just making them heel to see if that can happen. And I think the swerve of having Sami Zayn going heel and actually capitalizing on it, and right now is doing a good job with it at a steady pace in this program. That was swerve because I was not expecting that for that heel turn. Never saw that coming. So once again, just taking opportunities for somebody that could be a clean face and making them heel, or vice versa in the future. Just, WWE can do that more, and by them actually taking a chance on that this year, made me have that as a swerve of the year.
Cool. Dwayne has joined us. If you didn't catch City Sellers announcing him, but what's going on, Dwayne?
Nothing. Just got off work.
Reporting live from Somalia.
That's my internet.
We'll get you right in the mix. The next category is going to be the breaking news story of the year. Now, I'm going to emphasize on this just a little bit. Breaking news, because the next category is surprise of the year. So surprise, obviously, is anything that really shocked you, but breaking news is a headline that popped out. So, Dwayne, what is your breaking news story of the year?
All right, so for what I remember, when I filled this out, my breaking news story was just everyone catching this so-called virus in that locker room, and it messed up a whole pay-per-view for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. That's also mine too, sucker.
Yeah, that was rough because everybody had it, and meningitis is no joke, but
not at all.
Yeah, actually, and I was actually going to ask you to speak on this a little bit too, because I remember we talked about when it happened. First of all, when this happened, the TLC card changed because of the viral infection. I mean, we got some crazy matches and substitutes out of nowhere. We got the AJ Styles Finn Balor match. We got the Kurt Angle stepping in for the Shield for Roman Reigns. And Bray Wyatt also wasn't able to participate, and I think JoJo also was sick as well too. So
that was a different problem.
With a serious virus going around, it was good to see everybody recover from it, but also the virus did the best creative job of the entire year for booking the pay-per-view match.
I'm gonna have to give meningitis 6th man of the year for real,
for sure. I mean, it's like, again, as serious as this was, legitimately might have been the best promoted and most unusual booking for creative to have taken this entire year. But yeah,
it was spontaneous, and they used the word dream match so much that it's kind of lost a little bit of meaning. To have a dream match, it's like, okay, well, we saw that in TNA 10 years ago.
Yeah,
right.
But now we actually have Kurt Angle stepping in with the Shield, or AJ versus Finn Balor doing the two sweet. They did the thing.
Yeah,
they did the thing after the match, and the internet kind of lost its damn mind.
They did the thing.
They did the thing. So the one thing that WWE, and one of the many reasons why I just stopped watching and kind of cut it out, it's lost its spontaneity. The best matches for me are the ones that I don't know who's going to win, and now it's not getting so good, but we're getting better at seeing their tells and storylines and stuff like that. Well, if this happens and this happens, and they got to go in this direction, they usually do. But when meningitis stepped in and said, "Hold my beer," we're gonna shake that up. That was the real superstar shakeup.
Yeah, you're right about that. Dr. M, your breaking news story of the year.
My breaking news story of the year is that there was legitimately a pay-per-view named Great Balls of Fire. I think many wrestling fans thought this was a joke when the announcement first came out, but it was not. And yeah, I just can't believe that WWE actually went through with doing that. But I also chose that as breaking news because it was at that pay-per-view. Samoa Joe got his first WWE title shot, which a lot of us were looking forward to. I think a lot of people were behind Samoa Joe, and he went down in about 6 to 7 minutes. And so there was a lot of breaking news related to that pay-per-view. So that's why I chose it.
Yeah, not to mention, too, they almost didn't even clear the rights for the name. So that name almost really didn't happen, but it did get clear, and they went through with it. And actually, it turned out to be one of the better pay-per-views of the year. So
it did, yeah.
Jamal?
How they not going to pay Jerry Lee Lewis? I mean, come on. I mean, what do you do, Vince? My breaking news story of the year was the illegal, invasive expose of personal and private pictures that have been exposed from wrestlers and celebrities, but particularly wrestlers back in March. And I think that was pretty big because of the fact that if you got an iPhone, you better lock it down. And B, I think some months from that, removed from that event, even though, if you really want to see some things, you can go back right now and get it. We don't care. Maybe this is actually not necessarily a good thing because you have people saying that, and shocking it is to see their intimate pictures on the internet. But I think overall it's blown over to the point where, okay, I mean, that happened, but it hasn't been the whirlwind of like taboo that people thought it was going to be when very prominent names started to see their name on that list of people that have been exposed. And I think that's a win, a small victory, even though it's out of a very good thing, out of a very, very, very bad thing to happen.
Yeah.
So maybe we've grown up as a country, but probably not.
And so Silas.
So mine is a unfortunate and negative one by chance because I just had a lot of respect for this wrestler since this wrestler's from, the home state that we live in. Rich Swann getting arrested, and even though I know wrestling has a whole lot of quote unquote another term that Jamal says that will probably be overused is kayfabe. Even as an adult, when I look at some wrestlers, I have high respect for, I think, high character guys. When you think guys like Kofi Kingston, who never gets in trouble, and does what he's supposed to do, family man, supports his family, his children, you just think high character of him. And Rich Swann was somebody who else I thought that could fit that mold. So having him get arrested and suspended, I don't know if he's been fired yet, based on the conduct that he did to his wife in public, it was just very, very unfortunate. And by it being in a paper like the Washington Post, even hit home even more because you want to see our local guys succeed. So that was a negative one and a bad taste in my mouth, even though it happened recently. It was just unfortunate for him.
I think a little bit of news to add towards that is I think all charges and everything has been dropped. So nothing really to come of it. Sort of say, not sure how WWE is still going to handle it. If it's anything like the NFL, I mean, he's obviously suspended indefinitely right now, but from what I was reading, they seem to be back on good terms or whatever. So, just reading the news outlets about it, but apparently, the two of them must have brushed it under the rug. But nonetheless, you still don't want to hear anything of such from anybody that you respect, and you see, the two of them put in the hard work, going through the indies their entire life just to be able to throw opportunities away because of something stupid like that. So, okay, so we're going down now to our surprise of the year, and I am going to start this one off, and mine is the John Cena and Roman Reigns segment from Raw, which was
August.
Yeah, in August. August 28th, 2017. Now, I was out of town, and Jamal texted me and said, "Did you just watch that?" And I was just like, "No, I'm heading to the room now anyway." And I forgot I was in a different time zone, so I hadn't even aired on the West Coast yet. And I got on Twitter for like 1 second, and all I just seen was a bunch of this, like, I can't believe this, I can't believe that. I was like, I'm just gonna wait. But nonetheless, first of all, the fact that they pulled the trigger on this match even happening is one thing, but the fact of what John Cena was saying to Roman Reigns is exactly why WWE is John Cena, because he let him have it and he held nothing back, and Roman Reigns had nothing for him. Corey Graves has even lost of words on the commentary team, like whoops, and I mean Kurt Angle's face in the background was definitely used for tons of memes. Yeah, I mean, literally, this is like one of those New York rap battles, and one person wasn't prepared at all. And yeah, it was a crazy good segment. It really put the fuel to the fire for that feud, and I was just really surprised that WWE, one, let that feud happen, and two, John Cena and all the remarks he said and left poor Roman Reigns there with nothing. D-Wayne, your surprise of the year.
segment was okay. It was good. It was good. I admit. That segment was surprising, and it was signed off. But
You
let's not get into that segment right now.
hold it down for your man.
You
I mean, it
know,
looked like child abuse to me.
it was signed off. You know, and John Cena, said some stuff, but we're not going to get into that. You know,
It's
we're
it's
not
a
going to get into
it's a promo. If you want to be the big dog, you're gonna know how to cut one.
Shots fired.
Damn. Truth.
Shots fired.
that. Shots were
Flash of truth
fired in
right
that
there.
promo.
Go, Bryce, stop while you're ahead.
Actually, you, Marcus, and Cells all have the same. Yeah, y'all all have the same answer here for surprise of the year. So
Yep.
you guys go for it.
Yeah, Jinder Mahal winning that title. I mean, who expect Jinder Mahal, who was just losing left and right, to say, "Oh well, let's put Jinder Mahal in the ring."
That's Somalian internet one more time.
Cut off.
I mean, it's not my surprise of the year, but I will say this: we went to NXT Takeover Chicago and left because we thought the Backlash was going to be trash. It wasn't terrible, but Jinder Mahal winning the title was definitely one of the bigger surprises of the year. And you can almost tell when WWE runs out of steam creatively because it just gets stupid in the end, and we get tired of it in the end. And now we have what we have. But yeah, Jinder winning the title was a big deal. I mean, he put India on his back.
Yeah, I agree. At first, I was going to say Adam Cole, when he debuted in WWE, because it's one of those things like, wow, this really happened. But then when I thought about it again, I was like, that surprise moment where my jaw dropped literally when I saw he won the title, because I didn't think that would ever happen, especially against somebody like Randy Orton, who's up there in the Vince McMahon club. It happened. And for him to have a decent reign for about 6 or 7 months, so it wasn't just no 1 week thing or 2 week thing. Like, it was a legit reign. And I think Jinder did the best out of it. So, agree. Just my reaction when I saw it was, wow, just shocked.
Yep.
Go ahead, Dr. M. Fill in there.
Well, I would just add it was a surprise for me because if some of y'all remember back when we were in Dallas a couple of years ago.
Yep.
I think it was the day we went to the ROH taping.
Yep.
Right. And wherever the taping was, I think that's where WrestleCon was happening too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And seeing Jinder, and he had been fired from WWE at that point. And he was like sitting in some corner eating a sandwich or something by himself.
Yep.
And like, there were no fans approaching him, right? There were lots of other wrestlers around the facility, and people were going up to them and stuff. Nobody was going anywhere near Jinder. I don't think people recognized him, honestly. And for him to go from that, back in 2014 to, or was that 2014? Yeah, 2014 to, 3 years later, and him being WWE champion for a fairly lengthy reign. That's why it was a surprise to me.
Yep. I can't even add anything else to that.
And we contemplated speaking to him, but he was like, nah, leave him alone.
He's not as eating as healthy as he was then.
Right.
I'm sorry. He's not eating as healthy as he is now. I mean, and Jamal, your answer for surprise of the year.
My biggest surprise was 4th of July, which was a Tuesday. And that's generally a waste of a show. But the Usos and New Day with local rapper Wale hosting it, had a little rap battle, which one would think would be a pretty wasteful subject because rap is one of those polarizing things, and I couldn't imagine a large number of the WWE audience tracking with what a rap battle does. I love it. I've always loved it. I've been to more than a few, and seeing that they actually took it seriously and presented an actual rap battle in the style that you would see on the underground scene was a big surprise. And the fact that some of the punchlines and setups from the Usos was another big surprise. Xavier Wood came with some heat, and Big E Langston, came with some heat. Kofi, not so much. But that whole tournament. I mean, the fact that like I've gone back over the course since the 4th of July, and again, just to hear the crowd's reaction is something that I haven't done for many segments in WWE ever.
There were some bars dropped on there, and too bad that the WWE official YouTube channel does not give you the real bars. So do your work and go find it. But there were some bars dropped. I literally feel that segment and the John Cena Roman Reigns segment were the absolute 2 best segments in the entire year. So
can't argue against that. And I would put Matt Hardy's first segment up there in that conversation as well. When he finally became woke. Yeah,
that was pretty cool. If something else I was kind of contemplating with too. I mean, there was definitely some good ones with Jericho. I mean, the friendship of the Festival of Friendship was pretty cool. But I mean, when you're talking about surprise, I mean, nothing out of the blue came like out of this. So, anywho, all right. So let's get down to the event category. Starting off with the event of the year, I am going to go with Dr. M first here. You there?
Uh-oh.
All right, so Sellers, go ahead and pick up.
Sorry, guys. My event of the year for me was definitely the Royal Rumble of this year. It wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't things super about it. But the fact that it was the first one that we all got a chance to go to live just to see what it is. I'm also looking forward to doing that for Money in the Bank next year, as well as WrestleMania. Money in the Bank, which is my personal favorite pay-per-view.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
In Chicago. But definitely wanted to have that as my event of the year just by us attending the show.
Dr. M, your event of the year.
Event of the year. I chose the UK tournament. Partly because I'm biased and love everything about the UK. But I just thought it was just the production value of it, and having it in that very sort of enclosed space in Blackpool. The crowd was hot for the whole 2 days of the event. And the caliber of wrestling both days, I thought was top notch from beginning to end. And I thought in 2 days, WWE did a nice job of obviously quite a few stars, but actually getting the fans like into a handful of stars too. I mean, Pete Dunne became a star at that event, right? Even though he didn't win the title, he totally emerged out of that weekend as the star of that event. Tyler Bate becoming one of the younger champions in WWE history was certainly newsworthy too. So WWE accomplished a lot in those 2 days, shed light on what seems to be a very strong independent scene in the UK, and got some stars in the process that are, to this day competing on NXT takeovers. Then next year, we'll see them more on the main roster, perhaps.
Yeah, not to mention the design of the belt was absolutely amazing. So I mean, they just didn't do anything wrong. Nigel McGuinness was introduced. Aleister Black made his debut as well too. So there was a lot of positivity that came out of this tournament. You got to introduce to the culture, everybody's backstory about almost being shot in the alley, because it's pretty rough over there apparently. And because the show never happened, and I'm never just going to forget that because I'm still pretty pissed about that never happening. Dwayne, you also had this for you as for event of the year. Anything to add to that?
I concur with everything Dr. M said.
Awesome. Moving on. Jamal, your show of the year.
My show of the year was Progress in New York City back in August. Two James and I were at an indie show, at an Evolve show, and it was personally one of the hottest shows I've ever been on physically. Like we sweated. It was a sauna. The Progress show was about 112 in there. But we got to see some really special matches. Seen a lot of the UK guys in the ring for the first time. Keith Lee in a four-way dance with Matt Riddle and Walter and I think it's Tim Thatcher. That was awesome. The crowd was nuts the entire time. Yeah, just a lot of new things, and I like new. So that personally, because I was there, was definitely the best event that I saw, top to bottom, this year.
Awesome. And I have the New Japan Pro Wrestling G1 Climax. Now, this is a 19-day tournament, and I absolutely, but maybe watch maybe like I forget what day, but an earlier day live, because watching New Japan on the East Coast or maybe anywhere in America is absolutely hard. But rewatching, going back, I mean, you got tons of instant classics going on. I mean, you got the Okada Omega rematch, you got the Naito Omega in the final, you got the Naito Tanahashi, all very, very high caliber matches. I think Meltzer gave them all 15 stars. So, you know, just a lot of quality matches came over the 19-day tournament. And the G1's always good. And consider the G1 like your Money in the Bank, except it's actually scheduled. So you know you're going to see the winner of this at the main event for Wrestle Kingdom. So it has the complete spectacle of a huge pay-per-view, and it lives up to it once again. So going now to our I just did event of the year. Okay. The corporate show of the year. So corporate meaning the bigger promotions, wrestling promotions out there. So we're talking WWE, ROH, New Japan, blah blah blah. So we have so we have three people with the same answer. Dwayne, since you also had similar answers to someone last category. I'll start off with you. Your corporate show of the year.
I think the Wolves got him.
Okay. And he's on mute. So, excuse me, Silly Sellers.
Yeah, I'm looking for my corporate show. Who did I say? Help me out. I'm trying to scroll back and forth.
Actually, you
said Wrestle Kingdom too.
And Jamal. Okay, y'all go for it. Free for all three of y'all have the same thing.
Just for me, just the dynamics of the type of matches that were in that show were very interesting to me. And to me, I think that did better than any of the WWE promotions, ROH promotions, just on the basis of the talent of the rest of the matches itself. And Wrestle Kingdom is something I don't get a chance to watch or look forward to often until I started this year. And now next year, I'm looking forward to expanding my horizon going into Wrestle Kingdom and New Japan Pro Wrestling, just all these outside promotions. I think that's another goal I want to take for myself in 2018. So looking at this from the first time, that kind of set my standard. So once again, on a personal note, for me, that's what I want to look forward to and expand on next year. So that's why I put that as my corporate event of the year.
Look, forget next year, okay? Because you're gonna watch it. I get it in January, but 2019, Jamal, you can finish off here on that.
Yeah, we're definitely looking to go to Japan. It has to happen. 2019 Tokyo, we're taking it over, and the January 5th show at Corcoran Hall. I need to be there for that. So we're going through. We're running over the Pokemon store. We're going to Tokyo Sky Tree. We're doing 7 straight days of wrestling. It has to happen. Wrestle Kingdom 11 was my favorite show, corporate show of the year. And corporate includes Ring of Honor. It includes WWE, AAA. Just a show that's owned by a parent company. Ring of Honor is owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, which is one of the bigger television companies in the country. Kingdom had just amazing matches. Everybody, of course, is still talking about Okada versus Omega and their 45-minute long spectacular match. But Bada was my favorite match of that night. And Juice Robinson, who we saw left NXT like 2 or 3 months before Kingdom, has a pretty competitive match with Cody Rhodes, who had just left before. And he was doing his thing. So it was a lot of, and the Ring of Honor title was defended, where you had Adam Cole beating Kyle O'Reilly, becoming like the only 3-time champion ever in Ring of Honor history. So Wrestle Kingdom, I was up at 3 a.m. watching it, and I nearly got to work late because couldn't turn it off. But what a great show from top to bottom it was, and it was nearly 5 hours too.
Agreed. Agreed. Dr. M, your corporate show of the year.
I chose Takeover Brooklyn 3. Just really enjoyed that show. I thought the opening match between Johnny Gargano and Andrade Almas is criminally underrated. I thought
Oh
that was
yeah.
a fantastic match. And then I thought the tag team match, which I expected to not really enjoy because I just haven't been able to get behind Sanity. But that ended up being one of the just more chaotic but still well booked matches of the night. I think Nikki Cross actually ended up being the star of that match, taking that crazy bump
Yep.
with Killian Dane and one of those guys from AOP. And then, of course, to have Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish come in at the end. And the first big surprise of the night, I thought was just good booking all around. Also, that was the pay-per-view where we had a great live performance entrance for Aleister Black. His theme song is already great, but then to have the band there performing his entrance, I thought was pretty awesome. R called that match as well. I think it's always great. I think he always adds something to a card. And then this was also, I think, the second match between Asuka and Ember Moon, and I thought it was one of the better women's matches of the year. Ember Moon was going to win at some points, but I don't know why, because obviously it's Asuka.
No one's ready for Asuka.
But I think it's a testament to both that. I mean, I was fully into that match from start to finish, and there was a slight moment where I wasn't quite sure who was going to win. I mean, the main event I thought was pretty good too. Drew McIntyre is just kind of bland to me. I don't really see the appeal, but I thought it was a well wrestled main event. And so just overall, from top to bottom, production value, quality of matches, that's why I chose it.
Takeover doing takeover things. For mine, I have NXT Takeover Orlando. We got the Aleister Black debut. He faced Andrade Cien Almas, who is now your NXT champion. Quite frankly, when I think about him over this year, he's actually lost a lot, and he's also been kind of the Bray Wyatt role in people debuting. Then you got the insane, crazy match between the Authors of Pain, DIY, and the Revival, which was the Revival's last show on NXT. Very much, you already know what you get with those guys. So, absolutely great match there. This was the Asuka Ember Moon first match. This is when actually everybody thought Ember Moon was going to win, but no one could beat Asuka. And then you got,
No one could beat Asuka ever.
Ever. Oh, I didn't say Ember. Yeah, no one could beat Asuka ever. She's a game shark, actually, or game genie.
Yeah,
whatever one you want to call it nowadays. She's the Tiburon team on Madden. And then you got the Bobby Roode becoming champion and his entrance, not the entrance. And then you got Shinsuke Nakamura and his entrance. This was his send off show. So up and down, an absolute stat car, great show. NXT Takeover Orlando, my show of the year or corporate show of the year. All right, now let's get to match of the year. I am going to start off with Silly Sus. Your
Indie show of the year.
Thank you.
You didn't do Indie show of the year.
Everybody did. I skipped that. I skipped that. I'll let you speak on it though, because you did have an answer there, and I know everybody didn't go see a lot of indie shows this year, so I just got rid of it. So can you explain to me how you got to Evolve? Oh yeah, because I was there too. Yeah, speak on this.
Evolve 84 was the same day as NXT Takeover Chicago. Before we had a lovely Uber ride through the west side of Chicago.
I was just about to say that. Uber driver asked us, how do we pay? He was like,
yeah,
yo, shouldn't you be telling us?
That is not my job to figure out, sir.
And we went to a prom too. What a heck of a day!
Yeah, we had to send him off. He was looking good though. He was fresh.
Yeah.
Either way, Evolve 84 was great. We got to see Jeff Cobb, we got to see Dijak, we got to see Keith Lee, the Doom Patrol. Just a great show from top to bottom. It's one of those ones where you definitely would have wanted to see it live. the crowd was pretty hyped. It was standing room only, and I think it was like their first time in Chicago, either ever or in a very long time. So, a definite like or takeover Chicago, which was one of the better shows of the year anyway.
Yep. Actually, and I'm going to call an audible here. For match of the year, I'm going to go first because my match of the year is the Keith Lee Donovan Dijak match at Battle of LA. Now, granted, this match, I think, first happened at the Joey Janela Spring Break down in Orlando, WrestleMania weekend, and it created huge buzz throughout Twitter and all of wrestling, the wrestling community. So this is ultimately where I said, "Oh, Evolve! Oh, we're going. No matter what, we're gonna figure this out." So we pretty much had about 30 minutes to spare to get to NXT on time. But I said this has to happen because I need to see this match in person. So seeing it in person, absolutely insane. I feel sorry for anybody who paid for first row seats because they got compromised because that's what they do. And then they took it to the next level at the PWG, which is in the tournament, which is for a bigger stake. Keith Lee's debut at Battle of LA, and it was just a crazy, insane work match. Again, just find a way to watch those two work together. It's absolutely amazing what these two big guys can do. I mean, they're cruiserweights by Michael Cole standards because they're high flyers, and they'll execute any move possible in the book. And on top of that, from speaking to both of them on the show, check out those interviews. That's what they say. They go out to look for to say like, what did they say? I can't do or I'm not supposed to do. I'm gonna go do it. And those two dudes go do it together. So they're like the glitches on GTA nowadays. Like people doing all those mods, and you're just like, what the heck? Yeah, that's them when you go see them. So, so I'm throwing it back to you again now. Your match.
Yeah. No, that was great audible. That was a great audible. I am so in love of what the Velveteen Dream did against Aleister Black. And once again, and I know I said this before on one of our previous recordings, and I'll say it again. The number one thing I enjoy when it comes to wrestling, I even texted you guys the same question, but the number one thing I enjoy in wrestling is the storytelling and how that storytelling is evolved in one match. And then the fact of having the point of this match is to have the Velveteen work so hard for Aleister Black to say his name. And the way Velveteen Dream reacted in that storyline to get him to say his name. And then Aleister Black ended up saying his name, even though Velveteen lost the match. And it wasn't a perfect, technical match. It was some faults here and there, but it still was clean storytelling. It was just from start to finish. And even the post-interview after effect of what the Velveteen Dream said, he said my name. That was just pure art of storytelling of what wrestling should be. That is why I love wrestling. And it was just grade A from start to finish. And Patrick Clark, we saw this when he was in Tough Enough. And I'm just glad he's getting the chance to shine and did that at NXT TakeOver War Games.
Awesome. Dr. M, your match of the year.
My match of the year was Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate, NXT TakeOver Chicago. For a number of reasons, I guess the top one being that two guys who were still sort of relatively unknown to a lot of wrestling fans, unless you watch the UK tournament or keep up with British UK indie scene. But for those two guys to come out in front of that Chicago crowd and have that crowd giving them a standing ovation in the middle of the match, I think speaks a lot to what they were able to do, speaks a lot to their talent. And it was a match like quite a few this year, but that one just stands out to me the most, where from the opening bell to the end, I was 100% engaged. Just a good mix of some really fun, creative spots, technical wrestling, dramatic ending. I think all the perfect ingredients were there. You had Pete Dunne, who is, I think, one of the more legitimate heels today, and Tyler Bate, who is easy to like as a face. Everything worked well in that match. That's why I chose it.
Chicago was on fire that week. Point blank. Jamal, your match of the year.
Mr. Silly Cellus actually echoed a lot of the same sentiments of why I watch wrestling. But personally, the storytelling is done in the ring. I really don't care about how well a promo is done, because I think the storytelling should be done between the bells. With that said, after the events of Angelus Lane, scolding the man and then literally throwing fire at him. Keith Lee versus Angelus Lane from Nova Pro's August show. American Slam. That was insane. And I think one of the better things about wrestling is when you look at a matchup on paper, you go, how is this going to work? How will David overcome Goliath? How will this happen? Because we want to believe that this is a thing that can happen, but Keith Lee versus Angelus Lane, everybody in the building went, "Oh, well, she's so dead." And then the match happens, and then even though she was arguably the biggest villain in the company, in the state of Virginia on that night, but the crowd, you had to respect her. And I think the reaction from the crowd, even she got a little misty-eyed after the match. You no matter what you think of her, or her character, you had to respect her. And I think for women's wrestling, and that I'm such a huge fan of, both Keith Lee and Angelus Lane told a story that transcends, the male-female dynamic. That it went a long way as far as I'm concerned with how women should be valued in the wrestling dynamic.
Agreed.
So that was awesome.
Great match it was. Dwayne, who disappeared, must have took down another cargo ship in whatever.
I am the captain of this boat.
Yeah, look at me. I'm the captain now. He had Okada and Omega, but we know him and Meltzer probably gave those 1 billion stars together. So
19 stars.
Yeah, so that's that. All right, let's get to the good stuff now. First off, I'm gonna start off with most improved wrestler of the year. I want to go. I really kind of struggle with this one a little bit, but I'm pretty comfortable with my answer. But I'm really curious to hear Dr. M's reason for his selection. And I have a feeling you're gonna mirror a lot of things I'm thinking.
Well, I'll say I struggle with this one too, because there's a lot of people that I think it's certainly valid to go with, but I chose Punishment Martinez from Ring of Honor. As I said before, I've been finding more time to watch Ring of Honor lately, their weekly show, and when he comes on the screen, I'm always interested. And just thinking about where he started from, being in the top prospect tournament some years ago. And I remember in that tournament, my impression of him was, all right, he has the look. He's a big dude, but the wrestling ability wasn't there. And to where he is now, where, this is a very tall guy, so you would think he would sort of wrestle the typical big man style, which he does to some extent. Not afraid to get on that top rope. He's not afraid to dive out of the ring. And especially in the last few months, I've noticed he's engaging the fans more, right? And I think that's helping them get more into his matches. And so I think it's just been a great progression from where he started to where he is now, where he's now regularly on Ring of Honor pay-per-views. He's fighting for championships. So that's why I chose him as most improved.
Awesome. Going to go with Silly Sellis here.
And I'm a two-fold. I don't mean to jump ahead, but I put him as my Rookie of the Year and most improved because of the same reasons. And once again, going back to Velveteen Dream, I've just been really impressed from how he's grown from January to December now in 2017. And when I first saw his gimmick, the first person I thought about was Orlando Jones. I was like, I hope I'm saying his name right. It's Orlando Jones, right?
Jordan.
Orlando Jordan.
I was thinking that, and I was like,
Orlando Jones is a comedian.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all I was thinking to myself. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. M. Guy wrestle?
No. Thank you, Dr. M. I was thinking Orlando Jordan. I was like, are we going down this same boat? And I know that went horrific in TNA with Orlando Jordan. But when I saw how his gimmick evolved and how he took ownership of it and how he bloomed it and how he made it his own, not only do I see him as a not just only an NXT performer, because sometimes with these gimmicks, if it works in NXT, it won't work at the next level. But I absolutely think if he continues to build his gimmick, it could work on the next level. And paying homage to Dusty Rhodes, this seems like it has a Dusty Rhodes touch on it, where if somebody can take that gimmick and run with it, you can do great things with it. And I really hope he continues in 2018 to make those strides. Maybe he'll be ready to make a move by midsummer or September after being in NXT for about a couple of years to make that jump. We'll see. But just the growth that he's done with the gimmick where I'm completely sold on it from the start to finish of 2017.
We'll see it, dude, for sure. Yes, like I said, for me, I struggled a little bit, and I had a couple of other candidates I wanted to throw here. One being AR Fox and one being Desmond and Xavier. But ultimately, I went with a very comfortable answer in Braun Strowman because he's a big guy. It felt like one of Vince's chosen kids at a point, and then it felt kind of dry. And then Jamal pointed out something that I really can't get over, really, and it's the fact that he kind of stood down to Brock Lesnar. You building this guy to be a monster, but kind of back down to Brock. That kind of is, contradicting to his character. Nonetheless, he still blossomed, put on some heck of matches on Raw. He really shined in that what was it, the Fatal 4-Way that he was in. And overall, he's just been showing what is progression of becoming a wrestler. And I think that him being a new face in his own, yes, he's been with the Wyatt family, is the black sheep, but him blossoming in his own in a singles career, and Mounty getting his chances, but putting in the work, and the gimmick is working. The promos is coming together. He's feeling a lot more comfortable with Mike nowadays. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he works the mismatch challenge. He's definitely what I would call most improved because, he was in this tandem in the Wyatt family, which if you look around, if the four of them, the three of them aren't really doing anything, and he's able to blossom to become a very key and token person on the Raw roster. Jamal, for your most improved.
Let me just say that Punishment Martinez is the best Baron Corbin in wrestling today.
That's a great call, actually.
No, I mean I'm serious. He's everything that Corbin should have been. But I digress. My most improved wrestler of the year is actually Faye Jackson. When we first saw her in Ring of Honor, she was like super green. Had a very limited move set, and just I would say that if for to see where she's come from, and the type of matches that she's having, developing her move set, developing, improving her skill set, adding a little bit more to her portfolio, showing different sides of her character, and instead of just being the super baby face. She's developed a bit of a mean streak over the year. Faye Jackson has gone from somewhere where you go, well, sure, to, okay, I see what you did there, and I like it. Do it again. Like she hit this like fisherman suplex out of nowhere. That was kind of nuts. I'm like, damn, Faye, where did that come from?
Well, you speaking of Faye, might as well go ahead and plug that again.
Well, I mean, and honestly, that's just coincidental. But we will be talking to Faye Jackson tomorrow. And I did, you mentioned how she's developed a bit of a mean streak. So we're gonna need to clear this up. Why she's suddenly coming after Veda Scott and Nova Pro Wrestling. So tomorrow night, 24 hours from now, of an interview with the good Faye Jackson. So tune in tomorrow for that because I got some questions.
Cool. I've actually skipped the category. I skipped the category by mistake, and specialty match of the year is the one I did, which is matches such as no ropes match, elimination chamber, Hell in a Cell, Money in the Bank, stuff like that. I'm starting off with Dr. M and Silly Sellers, who has the same answer.
I'm gonna let Dr. M go because me and him probably gonna definitely be on the same page with this.
Well, yeah, we chose War Games, and
Yep.
I'll say I chose it because I was Excited, but also hesitant about the match.
Mhm.
Obviously, as we all know, people were questioning, some pretty sort of silly things like, "Oh, there's no roof; it can't be War Games," and I was bothered by the absence of the roof. Actually, helped the match, but it seems like it would be in some ways a wrestling booker's nightmare to book a match successfully that has 9 people in it. That's not something I would want to necessarily do. But to have 9 people in a cage and it not turn into a cluster, I think is a mark of success. And it was a match I enjoyed. It had its a good mix of brutality and teamwork and dramatic spots. And my goodness, Roderick Strong's superplex off the top of the cage was insane.
Yep.
And the crowd ate it up. And so, that's why I chose that match. WWE has made me hate the shark cage. When I saw those shark cages on the stage, I was already starting to feel uneasy about the match. But fortunately, those didn't play a major role. But I thought everyone had a chance to shine in that match to different extents. I'm also happy that Alexander Wolf didn't lose more blood than he did, because I was worried about him for a while. But I just thought it was well done, considering you had 9 people to think about in booking that match. I thought it was well done.
I would agree. Just to add to that, I know right now it's funny to say it, but we're in that reboot age where we see all these things get rebooted in movies and songs, and like we're old enough to say, "Oh, I remember the original version of that song." By having the War Games come back, it felt a nostalgic feel, and I was hoping that, like Dr. M said, it will be good with the mild tweaks they have, but the match itself wasn't bad. Even to the fact that the whole pay-per-view show wasn't bad, where the wrestlers only used 1 ring and didn't abuse the 2 ring privileges just because they were next to each other for all the other matches. Because I was like, is somebody just going to go to that other ring just because? And it never did happen. Maybe, they was told, don't do that until the War Games or whatever. But I was just impressed that it did not get botched. It was as good as it could have been for the rules and everything they tried to place in. And when you have that, I can't knock it. So that's why I enjoyed it. But once again, a lot of reasons that Dr. M said, but just having that nostalgic feel.
All right. Jamal.
And this is the specialty match of the year. My specialty match was the triathlon match. It was last show in November. Triathlon match. Never heard of it, but it was. It's basically a single match, a tag match, and a 6-man tag. If it comes to that, and 2 out of 3 falls. So there's a lot of different elements in the pot that are being stirred up, and I think that it definitely had a lot. I want to see it more. It has a lot of implications of how it could come out, and what the implications are as far as the match goes. But it was a series. Basically, Cesaro and Sheamus had a best of 7 series over like the course of 20 years. And the triathlon match had like 3 matches in 30 minutes. And it was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, there's some crazy things going on in that match. Gunner pretty much burying Cabana Man Dan.
Yeah,
that,
Yeah, that happened.
For my specialty match of the year, I have the NXT Tag Team Championship ladder match, which happened at NXT TakeOver Chicago, which was Authors of Pain versus DIY. Outside of all the crazy spots that happened with this ladder, in and outside the ring, and then the destruction of DIY, being there live was just absolutely insane. Many moments of the match you just really had to close your eyes because it was just brutal. The bumps and the spots that was taken. It's really, really hard for me to just specify like one in particular, but I just know ultimately it was. Matter of fact, this match closed the pay-per-view. Considering that the NXT Championship usually is the match that does, so it just lets you know how intense it was, and it was just all around just a great match. So moving on back to individual awards, we have the Rookie of the Year. Me and Dwayne and Dr. M have the same one, so I'm gonna start off with Jamal and Silly Sellers, who also has the same one.
Yeah, I said the Velveteen Dream. When he made his NXT debut, was actually the NXT show before that was taped before NXT Chicago. I'm thinking, well, nothing much of it, and that was in May. And the next thing you know, here it is, November, and we're talking about how he's having one of the matches of the year.
Yep.
In my top 5 with Aleister Black, and that's a testament to both to Black and the Velveteen Dream for putting that both together. But still, the point remains is that this kid has had a hell of a 6 months coming from nearly cut out of the WWE to having a character that on paper didn't seem like much, making it his own and turning it into gold.
Absolutely, I agree. I said my components earlier, so just in addition to what Jamal said, I go with that.
And Dr. M and I have Pete Dunne as our Rookie of the Year. Now, Dr. M, you can speak on this, but you definitely said all of the reasons earlier as to why I picked him as my Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that except just and Pete Dunne really just barely edged out Velveteen Dream for me. But again, just going back to the UK tournament and in 2 days establishing him as one of the better heels WWE has seen in years. Even though he didn't come out of that tournament with a title, he was the star I think most people remembered from that tournament. Also, him getting into it with William Regal. So he was feuding with at least 2 to 3 people by the end of that tournament was over. Obviously, he had a great showing at TakeOver Chicago. He's had a chance to perform on Raw and NXT several times as well. And so, in all of his matches, I think are good. I can't think of a bad match I've seen him in. A good mix of technical wrestling, and he's a legitimate heel, right? None of this tweener stuff that we're seeing nowadays, right? He's not trying to be cool. He is a legitimate heel, which wrestling needs more of. And that's why I think he's Rookie of the Year. And he's also quite young too, right? So for him to have mastered all this stuff at 23, 24, however old he is, right? I think he can only go up from here, which is scary.
Yep, and to add to that, him being the champion, the UK championship, he's also the champion at Rev Pro, or was it Progress?
I think Progress.
I want to say,
or was it both? No, it wasn't Rev.
I want to say
Rev. It was Progress and somebody else. He had 3 belts at a time.
I thought it was ICW.
Okay, and something else. Either way, this young guy, for everything Dr. M has said, he's young, and you may not have heard of him, but you know of him now, and there is no if or if he's a heel. He's absolutely a heel. He does heel stuff, and he just has all the two in the sheds. He got all the right endorsements too, and yeah, still working indie dates, but still fully involved in high caliber matches in WWE. You got to give it to the guy for doing that. In other words, too, I mean, a lot of people can bank on their stardom and just, start cruising, but he's still putting in the work. His Instagram is pretty interesting to follow as well, too. And his merch is absolutely great, too. So, Pete Dunne, Rookie of the Year. Tag Team of the Year. Now, we have we have only 2 answers here because I'm not acknowledging one. So there's 2 tag teams here. Why are you feeling guilty? I didn't specify anyone.
You should just skip this whole thing.
It doesn't matter. It's still not fair.
Okay, fine. Jamal, have your moment. Who is your tag team of the year?
No.
My tag team of the year is actually it's not because of the actual way the tag team came about. It's one of the biggest surprises. No, I'm dead serious. It's one of the biggest surprises of the year. It was a moment that had people talking throughout the year. James Ellsworth had like a moment last year where people were like, "Who the hell is this guy? Oh my God, he's a breath away from becoming the champion." And now we have my favorite tag team I can't wait for the merch to come out, is
Oh
Brad
my
Maddox
God.
and his Bloods. And I'm saying that they had the synergy of the Usos, the Young Bucks, and I'll be goddamned if they didn't perform as well as out there like they were the Dudley Boys. So you know what?
Wow.
Good for you, Woods and Maddox. Good for you. Bully, I say.
They did get name dropped, sort of
Wow.
say, in that rap battle. Anyway,
Exactly.
yeah, I can't believe that happened. Anyway, back to
Oh
something
my
else.
God.
Oh, Dr. M and
They turned a page in the tag team division.
That. How do you follow that up?
I can't.
No clue.
Next topic. Oh my God. Next category. Usos, great. That's it.
Yeah, it's amazing what a heel turn and a change of theme music can do.
Man, what? What? For real?
Yeah.
For real. And them getting switched to the show absolutely was the spark that they needed all over again.
Yep.
But yeah, I
Oh.
mean they're SmackDown Tag Team Champion, great matches up and down. Them and the New Day bring the best out of each other. Yeah, the theme, my theme of the year. Absolutely. The swagger, they're delivering their theme. So it's easy for them to walk and talk it because it's who they are, and it's so
Exactly.
legit. Absolutely go with that. And the only reason why I did not pick them is because just like the Oscars, the Grammys, and Golden Globes, everybody forget the beginning of the year, but only thinks about the stuff that came out within the last 2 months. The Hardy Boys, the most over tag team this entire year, won championships in every major promotion. To the fact that, and then the broken gimmick, the whole segment, they carried TNA pretty much. TNA, that's why they was just like that jealous.
But that was last year, though.
No, this was this year. It was this year, January and February, and ROH was also this year too. They worked that match with the Young Bucks that the pop that happened there was amazing. Carrying that momentum all the way into April, where they had maybe the second or third biggest pop in WWE history outside of the Money in the Bank cash in and something else I had up there with Dolph Ziggler. And then they came to WWE. They won the championship here, very still much over, using their old nostalgia gimmick and Team Extreme. Now they're back broken. They're still relevant, and I mean these guys are up in their age. Matter of fact, when they was in WWE, they were still working a few more indie dates. And the Hardys, what can you say about them, man? They're still relevant after all these years. So just to see it all comes full circle, to go through all the BS with TNA and not being able to use the gimmick, to them being the broken Hardys now. Overall, they just had an outstanding year. They never missed a step this year. I'm going now into our corporate wrestler of the year. This can be anybody in any major promotion outside of indie promotions. So I'm going to start off with. Hold on, I just want to make sure I'm on the right category here. Yes, I'm sorry. Any wrestler. I'm sorry. Indie wrestler of the year. I read this completely wrong, which is anybody outside of any major promotion. So that's WWE, ROH, New Japan. So anybody that's outside of that. Dr. M answer is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I chose Ricochet. And I want to think I chose him last year too, which I think is just a testament to how awesome he is. I will say I almost went with Shane Strickland for Indie Wrestler of the Year.
Ooh.
In part because
wow.
he has been in some absolutely ridiculous matches where he legitimately should have died. Especially if you watch his stuff on Lucha Underground. The only reason I didn't go with Shane Strickland is because his crazy Lucha Underground match with AR Fox was actually taped in 2016 but didn't air until this year. Because that's just how Lucha Underground works. So that's why I went with Ricochet. Because I purposely, try to look at some of his stuff on YouTube since he's not on mainstream TV yet. And every match he does, I'm just amazed at, his athleticism. And I hope he gets his shot on one of the big stages soon. I know there's rumors out there about him and where he's headed next. And I just hope he gets a chance to shine because I think he deserves it.
And with that being said, he is a free agent, sort of, because he's not really with Lucha Underground. I mean, he's been written off in the storyline, losing to Pentagon Zero, but he's still under kind of Lucha because he's not able to work any other or sign to any other promotion. So he's just in that little gray area right now. That's why I said I loved your answer, because it's so fitting, because someone can make an argument like, oh, he's still with Lucha. No, he's not. He is, but he's not. So yeah, my answer doesn't even count because obviously I can't read, so I have to think of something in a second. I'm going with Jamal here on this, and I love this answer as well.
My favorite indie wrestler this year is Fred Yehi. Jordan Grace and Fred Yehi were neck and neck. And I chose Fred Yehi because every match that I've seen him in has been an excellent match. Every match that I've seen Jordan Grace in has been, excellent, but her competition hasn't been able to keep up with her. So the match, was what it was. But Fred Yehi may actually be a real life supervillain. Just his mannerisms, his moves, the way he grunts in the ring, that drop kick, the corner basement drop kick is insane. Fred Yehi, I think he's eaten a person. I'm going to put that out there and say that Fred Yehi may actually have eaten a person because he's just that badass. I think my indie wrestler of the year.
And I'm going with you, Sir Salas.
When I think about this person, I want to think about who represents that company or who builds that company up. So when you think about the NWA back in the 80s and 70s or whatever, you think of Ric Flair. When you think of the early WWF, you think of Hulk Hogan, you think of Ultimate Warrior. When you think about the Attitude Era of WWF, you think about Stone Cold Steve Austin. But when you think about Nova Pro Wrestling, you have to think about one person who really is the staple, the main eventer, the person who brings that company up. And anytime you sit in the crowd at a Nova Pro Wrestling match, the one person everybody talks about they want to see is Logan E. LaRue. So I think that, the way he's building up Nova Pro, how it's coming up, that's why I have to give him credit for, being the Indie Wrestler of the Year. And he also won, what was the cup called?
Commonwealth Cup.
The Commonwealth Cup. Yep, the Commonwealth Cup. By him being a Commonwealth Cup, when you had a lot of people come in there, to be a part of the cup, like a Dijak, that just gives a lot of respect to him being the foundation, being the heart of that company. So I got to give a lot of respect to him on that.
So my answer originally was Cody here, but obviously Cody's an ROH, so I'm an idiot, so that does not count. But that's fine because I absolutely did know who I wanted to put here before him. And the only reason I had Cody is just because of just solidifying the whole year that he had. Considering that last year you only had a half of year of putting in the work, and this year you put in the work 100%. But I mean, he's been in ROH, signed to ROH predominantly the year, so that will kind of exclude him. And he's signed there now, so that excludes him. But two names that come to mind. One being Jonathan Gresham, who's also with ROH, but just the work that he's doing on the indie scene, goes for itself. But Keith Lee is my man here. Absolutely. Matches. First of all, it's just amazing how people just still have not seen some of the work he's done. But when you do see him, you're a fan. Nicest guy I've ever met of his size, considering that he could have probably did any athletic sport in the world that he wanted to do. But he chose to do wrestling, and he does it damn good. And he does it like he's only 100 pounds. He does it like he's my size. You know what I mean? But just amazing what the guy does. He is now your Evolve champion. Is he the Evolve champion or is it the WWN champion?
I think he's the he took the belt from Matt Riddle.
Oh, so the WWN champion. So the World Wrestling Network champion. So which was also another great match too. So this Keith Lee is my indie wrestler of the year. Now my corporate wrestler of the year is AJ Styles. AJ Styles has been absolutely one of the craziest and best free agent signings for WWE, and he's been carrying the SmackDown show. He's been having hell of a matches all over the place. The feud with him and John Cena in the beginning part of the year was amazing. The match he had at, I forget what it was, with John Cena was amazing. The match he had with Shane McMahon was amazing. He has, and then not only just that, I mean, we move forward to when he had to step in for the match to face Finn Balor, which was an auto where they pulled at the last minute. I mean, you got this guy at 40-something years old, still touring day in and day out all over the place from one country to another, or absolutely no sleep, putting on a great match. I mean, AJ Styles, what more can you say about him? 2-time WWE champion too this year, which says a lot. But AJ Styles, Dr. M, something to add to that? Because you have the same answer.
Yeah, I chose AJ for this category, and I'll just say also for our male wrestler of the year category. He hasn't had a bad match this year at all, and just the variety of people he faced, from Cena to Shane McMahon to Brock Lesnar. I mean, he helped carried Brock Lesnar, I think, in that match, even though he got suplexed a bunch. Right. I think he was the dominant person in that match in terms of just moving the match along, and turned that match into something exciting. And yeah, I mean, he can do no wrong in that ring at age 40, and so that's why I chose him.
And okay, so Silas, your corporate wrestler of the year.
And I definitely mean this in no favoritism, no partial with him being my favorite wrestler at all.
It just makes sense.
But when you think about a guy who left the biggest wrestling company in the world, and said, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to build a list. I'm going to attack every person on this list. I'm going to build this brand, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to be the most recognizable name, make the most money individually for myself as an individual performer, and I'm going to show you why I'm the best wrestler in this world. He did that, and he accomplished that in 2017. So when you think about corporate, you think about your profit. You think about the money that you make. You think about your brand. He made himself a corporate brand on his own. So that's why I have to give it to Cody Rhodes.
It's interesting to hear that your man, The Miz, also won Wrestler of the Year from the Rolling Stones magazine. So either way, your two favorites up there.
Yep.
Jamal, your corporate Wrestler of the Year.
I think it goes to the best. It would have been Katsuyori Shibata, but no. It's got to be Kazuchika Okada. Okada's had an amazing year, coming off of the series of three with Kenny Omega. His the tag match at Destruction was nuts. Okada's, every time he comes into the ring, he's main eventing as he should be. He's not mailing it in because of the fact that the talent isn't what it is. Every single time, he absolutely brings it, whether it's a technical wrestling match or strong style or whatever. Okada just brings it every single time, and I personally don't feel that way about AJ Styles. I think he's a bit of a bore, but if you are that guy that loves AJ Styles, that thinks that every single time he steps in the ring, it's going to be magical, I think Okada is the same way in New Japan.
Agree. He's what is he like? He's like the male. Well, he loses matches, but no one has taken that belt and in very high caliber matches all over this year. I mean, he's also accumulated about 20 stars as well too. But yeah, Okada. And who is my male wrestler of the year for the same reasons that you just said. You think New Japan Pro Wrestling? You think the Rainmaker? You think Okada? Point blank, point simple. Dr. M, your male wrestler of the year now.
Same as the last category. I couldn't not choose AJ Styles for the reasons I said before. He, in just a few short years, has come into WWE and has literally become one of its top stars, if not the top star. Which says a lot because, people coming from TNA didn't always have a great track record coming into WWE. And so I was a little concerned. I was excited to see him come in, but I was a little concerned that he would have his moment in the spotlight and then quickly be shoved somewhere lower on the card. And to his credit, he has stayed right up there at the top. And I think this year has been a banner year for him for just the caliber of matches he's had with the variety of opponents. I just could not think of a legitimate reason to not choose him.
And you, Silly Sellers.
I go back to 2013 on this role. Somebody that you least suspect that will have your best season in the NFL, and somebody that they say he'll probably never be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And he actually won the Super Bowl, and you can never take that away from him, and that's Joe Flacco, and that's how he got a big payday. I think Adam Cole deserves the same thing in 2017 when it comes to wrestling. We saw him in ROH, and we knew he was great in ROH, but we thought, man, could this guy make it into WWE? Would he ever make it into WWE? In 2017, he did. And you can't take that away from him because once you make it to the big leagues, that's a forever stamp. You experienced it. Now he needs to grow in it. And not only has he been in WWE, granted it's NXT, he's also won major matches on NXT's pay-per-views, his spotlight pay-per-views, especially in War Games, where he had to pin to win it. And to me, that's a moment where coming from the Indies, going to ROH, and then coming here, you made it. So, sir, if you go through that long journey and worked hard and worked your butt off to make sure you get to the top of your own league and your WWE is your Super Bowl, you become the wrestler of the year, in my opinion. So, Adam Cole.
And Jamal, your male wrestler of the year?
Male wrestler of the year, obviously, if I picked Okada for the corporate wrestler of the year and Fred Yehi for the indie wrestler of the year, then why wouldn't one of those two be male wrestler of the year? And that's because even though both Yehi and Okada are money and you really can't go wrong with them, I think the best wrestler in the world, the best male wrestler in the world right now, supersedes any promotion, and that is Keith Lee. Because his moveset is so diverse for his size, because Keith Lee, along with Dijak and along with a few other guys, force you to change the way you look at wrestling. Because they're doing things that we've told ourselves collectively that you should not be able to do. You should not be able to do at 6'2", 350 pounds, a moonsault, over a plancha over the top rope. You're not supposed to be able to do a moonsault. You're not supposed to be able to do this, this, and this. And they've said, no, we will, and we'll do it well. So, they hit, as hard as Braun Strowman, but they can move as fast as Ricochet. But big guys like Keith Lee and Donovan Dijak, unfortunately, Dijak hasn't really had a chance to show himself on the national stage in NXT yet. He will, but Keith Lee is right there. And he's the best wrestler in the world right now.
Awesome, and that leaves our last category tonight, and that is female wrestler of the year. Jamal, I'll start off with you and Silly Sellers.
Well, for me, I know the Crab's on mute right now, but I'm going to be very quick with this because Crabby can take it home. She's undefeated. And when you're undefeated in a major wrestling promotion where you retire as champion from the NXT and go into WWE and still haven't lost, until somebody beats you, you are the best in the business. And that goes to Asuka.
Yeah. No one's ready for Asuka. Ever. Not Leo Rush. Not anybody in NXT. Not anybody in WWE. I fear, my biggest fear for Asuka is that Mora, they won't understand what she really brings to the table.
Good point.
As another person that doesn't a Cesaro-like person.
Yep, good point.
All rights, Antonio Cesaro should be WWE champion.
Yep.
By now. But they just kind of write him off as another foreigner, and they don't really know what to do with him. Asuka is the best, female wrestler, arguably the best of any, wrestler in the world right now. And I truly think that if they allowed her to be her, Japanese style, strong style self, she can do that. She can be a technical wrestler. She can do really whatever she damn well pleases. And even though it was a joke and it got him in trouble, Asuka. Unfortunately, not even WWE.
Did I lose? Did we lose you, or did you just end? Because you went in and out at that last part.
No, okay. Nobody's ready for Asuka. Print it. Print it the shirt.
back to vacation she goes. Dr. M, you're a female wrestler of the year.
Well, I didn't think about Asuka, but the only reason I didn't choose her is even though she's undefeated and has done remarkably well in her run in WWE, I have always just found her a little bit one note. And it might just speak to some of what Jamal was just saying about her not really being able to sort of be her full self just yet. But again, I just think she's a little bit one note. So I actually chose Rosemary as the female wrestler of the year. And admittedly, I haven't more interest in looking at Impact. Is it called Impact? It's called Impact now.
It's anything you want it to be.
Anything we want it to be.
It's Canada wrestling right now.
I only watch it for Hootie.
But yeah, I haven't had much chance to watch it, but when I do get a chance to look at it, it's usually Rosemary's segments that I'm the most interested in. She's a good wrestler, and just the quality of her gimmick, I think, is just top notch. Thinking about who Courtney Rush is as just the indie wrestler and how she's changed herself into Rosemary, I think is pretty amazing, and there's sort of layers of depth to her character as well. She's had some pretty high quality feuds this year. Gail Kim all the way to as recent Taya Valkyrie, right? And now Allie, I think she's feuding with now too. She's able to do it all. She, became sort of the most popular member of the Decay before they broke up. She taken this gimmick and run with it and has become, I think, one of the top stars in that promotion. She's also Wrestler of the Year because Sexy Star tried to destroy her, and she made it out of that, and she's back wrestling again and doing just fine. So that's why I chose her.
Well said. I forgot about the Sexy Star incident. Jesus Christ. And then there was more incidents with her after that as well too. So yeah, Sexy Star and Eddie are your least valuable people of the whole life. And for my female wrestler of the year, I'm going with Toni Storm. It's absolutely about the championships and the work she's been putting in all over the world. She is your Progress Women's Champion. She's your World of Stardom champion. She's your SWA World Champion. Yeah, she's carrying all 3 belts, the trifecta. She was in the Mae Young Classic with the gimmick, the look, the gear, everything about her. She's still very, very, very young. She lost the semifinals against maybe one of the best matches in the tournament against Kairi Sane. So, Toni Storm, I like what she does in the ring, as she has one of the craziest snap suplexes. Strong Zero, look it up. And the power driver, Jesus Christ, and but yeah, Toni Storm, my female wrestler of the year. But yeah, that concludes our Goldie Award for 2017. We definitely went in on time. Imagine how many categories we had before, and we narrowed it down from last year, but we got through them all, and it was pretty good. So that's that. Before we leave tonight, I wanted to bring up that in January that history will be made. The first ever women's Royal Rumble match will be happening. We don't have too much of the details now. We do know that it will be on the Royal Rumble show. And I am saying that because you were probably wondering, like, why is there significance to that? Because apparently there's people that think that, it should have its own show, because it being on a Royal Rumble show with a male Royal Rumble will take away the whole spectacle of it. But I don't know. But I'm just throwing that out there to see if you guys have any thoughts on that. But anyway, there's not a lot of information out there about it. Naomi is the first entrant, which I thought was weird, because I thought all of Raw pretty much declared that they were in it. So that would make her the first of SmackDown. But no, they're saying she's the first.
You have to say it.
Yeah, you have to say it. Even though everybody made YouTube videos afterwards about what is it meant to them to be part of it. So I'm just a little bit confused there. But anyway, I just want to hear what's your thoughts. What other rumors have you heard? Predictions, bookings, all of that. Let's give another quick 5 minutes rundown from that. So everybody just jump in there.
I got three things. I talked to this one guy who's a wrestling fan at work about it, and I'll say three things about it. One thing I definitely agree with him. He said whatever happens in the first 5 to 7 minutes should dictate how they book the rest of the match. If it starts great, give them the whole 30 woman. If it's only about, slow a little bit, do 20. So don't release how many people you're going to do for your woman. Let that be a spectacle of surprise once it starts. Second thing is this. He said he has intel or from rumors that Ronda Rousey might be your last performer, which might cause her to win it in that spectacle of her being debuted if she gets signed and all that. 3, I think it should open the pay-per-view. Have that open the pay-per-view, have the men close it. And I just don't want it to be drawn out because you don't want that to kill the crowd in the beginning when you still got to go through an hour plus of the men going later. But it can be done correctly. I'm excited for it, but I'm cautiously optimistic to make sure they do it correct.
I'll say between the NXT women, the main roster women, and a bit of the legends that they could bring back in Ivory, Jazz, Karma, Awesome Kong, or whatever you want to call her. Gail Kim could pop up for no reason. There's a lot. There's absolutely a lot of surprise to be had. Personally, seeing a women's Royal Rumble is a great step in the right direction, but let's just not fool ourselves. China's been in the Royal Rumble before. Awesome Kong has been in the Royal Rumble before.
Phoenix, yep.
Beth Phoenix has been in the Royal Rumble before. So the fact that it's a women's Royal Rumble is fine, but let's be real. I want one Royal Rumble with everyone in it.
All right, so
I don't see what the difference is between 5'7", 125-pound woman and Rey Mysterio being the same woman. They still have to face Braun Strowman.
I don't care with it. That's a good point. Actually, too, I would like to see Beth Phoenix to return. I absolutely think it would be kind of crazy if she in it and made a great impact. Obviously, she has a kid, and I'm not sure.
Beth Phoenix, Trish, Lita, Ivory, Jazz, Awesome Kong. I mean, there are a lot of
Awesome Kong was
women that we have
that I would want as well too. And I would like to see her win it if possible. But absolutely, I think the person to win it is Tamina here. I think she's the one that. Because I thought she should have won Money in the Bank because she's just that person who needs that extra push. Knowing that she will get the championship match at WrestleMania gives her a sense of purpose because the Lana thing isn't working. When she returned, it didn't work. The stables that she's been in just doesn't work. But
I just don't think WWE trusts the pusher.
I can't co-sign that, and the reason why is because we've been set up before with the Royal Rumble winning. For example, Roman Reigns winning in Philadelphia a couple years ago, where it's like, well, now we got to sit on this for the next 3 months and ride that into WrestleMania. Is this the WrestleMania match that we want to see, that we know that it's going to happen in January?
Yeah, true. But I mean, that's just one of the times where it didn't work. But there's been a lot of other times where it did work. I mean, Triple H winning it, I thought worked. I thought it was really good, actually, considering that we definitely didn't want Roman Reigns to win it. So, it'd just be very, very curious to see how that works. I mean, Carmella obviously is out.
Is she?
Has that Money in the Bank to cash in. Wondering where they're going to work that at. But,
she got 4 months.
Ronda Rousey better not win it. And everybody wants Asuka to win it, too, who I also don't think should win it.
I don't think she will win it.
I think
I don't think.
Go ahead,
I don't know why she would win it.
I would just say if I was booking the match, I think I would book Asuka like they do in every Royal Rumble every year, where at some point, 7 or 8 people gang up on one of the huge guys.
I agree.
I would do the exact same thing with the women. I would have a whole bunch of them gang up on Asuka and toss her with that top rope, right? Because then that creates a gray area with her. Well, she's undefeated in singles matches, and then there starts the debate. Well, is she still undefeated because she didn't win the Rumble, right? So that sort of gets more attention on her again. So that's what I would do with Asuka. I have no idea who I would book to win. the Royal Rumble match, I mean, I think a good case could be made for Paige. One of my hopes is that we see some of the Mae Young Classic women in the Rumble. I would love to see Mia Yim, although I think she's injured. I'd love to see Toni Storm in the Rumble. Piper Niven, I think she'd be great in that match. A mixture of them, some of the legends, and then the Raw SmackDown women. Maybe some folks from NXT too. I mean, I'm excited for the match. I think there's a lot of potential, and I think a lot of it will just come down to how the match is paced out. And I think Silas is right that the first few minutes have to be exciting. They have to grab the crowd in order for it to be successful.
Yeah. First of all, I want to see 30 women. I don't want to see anything short of it. I think it should open up the open up the card. I do want a combination of people all over. I think Shayna Baszler is also another interesting person who should be debuting in NXT soon. I put her at the Royal Rumble. Imagine seeing the Shayna Baszler, a Ronda Rousey, and an Asuka in one ring, considering all their backgrounds in that. I think Nia Jax is going to be the victim of that spot that you speak of, which sucks because I think she's also another candidate of a person I would like to see win. But
I actually would have Nia Jax win it.
You think what?
I actually would have Nia Jax win it.
I wouldn't be surprised if she won either.
I would like to see a Nia Jax and Tamina at the end. I think we'll do that again. That stare-off was pretty cool for Survivor Series, and they both want to work with each other again. And then there has to be some records and stuff done. So, I mean, we're talking about most eliminations. I think Nia Jax is going to see that. I think Alicia Fox is going to eliminate herself fairly quick for some crazy tandem.
Former Divas Champion squad.
I need Santina Morella to show up.
I would like Ellsworth to show up. He seems to be a woman any other time, winning the Money in the Bank the first time. So
Santina Morella will kind of be like good, but it'd be kind of shot in the face.
They actually could pull the trigger on that.
They could because Santina has been in there for women's wrestling, but that would be
Santina was a Divas champion,
man.
Okay, 30 women has been confirmed, so that's cool. So 30 women. If you think about the Survivor Series match, it was 5-on-5. And then it was two, and then it was the two championship matches. So that's 14 people. That leaves about 15 other people. I'm sorry. Then they got 3 each that just got called up. So you're still like 19 people. That's still a lot of people they're going to do. I think that match is going to have more surprises than the males match.
It has to.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. January. History will be made. It will be fun. Any other remarks on?
I will say that like I had no intention on staying in Philly for the Royal Rumble. Now I kind of got to.
I wish there was tickets available. That's all I could say. I looked. I really do.
We're gonna make it work.
So I'm praying that more get released. They're gonna do something as it get closer. That's what I'm praying. But I think it just makes sense. Just that it should be fun. So I look forward to that. So do anybody have any other remarks or? Any remarks for the Royal Rumble? Any remarks?
Rosemary is the best Bray Wyatt in wrestling right now.
Great point.
Anybody have anything to say before we get out here tonight?
Brad Maddox and Xavier Woods 2018.
Oh my God.
All right. So be sure to check out our interview tomorrow. We'll have Faye Jackson on for a special interview. It's going to be a good time. And Happy New Year's, everybody. Nova Pro next week. We'll be talking that as well too. So we got a few more other things coming up before the end of the year. But yeah, thanks for everybody that's listening tonight. Interaction with us, all that other good stuff. I'm 2 Chainz. That's Dr. M. That's Jamal. That's Silly Sellers. This is the Big Go Bell Podcast. Thank you for listening. We will catch you guys tomorrow.